Welcome back to our table stories, a place where stories aren't just told with words, but also with the scratches on a wooden table, the warmth of a teacup, and the silence between each breath. This table has seen it all: the smiles of success, the tears of failure, whispered promises, and words sharper than any knife. We often believe that family is the safest harbor, the place where trust is unconditional. But what happens when the family dinner table, the symbol of warmth and unity, becomes the stage for the ultimate betrayal? What happens when the child of your soul, the thing you spent your youth building, is stripped away by the very people you love the most? Today, at the table of our table stories, we're about to hear such a tale, one of ambition, betrayal, and a counterattack calculated down to the smallest detail. So take your seat, and let me begin. About a decade ago, just past the age of 23, I made the biggest gamble of my life. I started a small tech company. It wasn't just a business decision, it was a vow. I poured everything I had into it, the few savings from part-time jobs, my youth, and countless long nights, accompanied only by the pale glow of a laptop and a cup of cold coffee. In the beginning, my office was a dusty corner of a friend's garage, walls still reeking of motor oil, air thick and stifling. I missed out on friend reunions, family holidays, even romantic relationships. Every cell in my body was focused on one thing: turning an idea on paper into something real. Slowly, the effort paid off. From the first small contracts to the golden referrals, the company began to stand on its own feet. I still remember the joy, no, the trembling relief, when we landed our first big client, or when the revenue graph finally passed the break-even point. Step by step, my unknown startup became a recognized name in the industry. I was proud, deeply, silently proud, of this creation built from sweat and tears. Everything was on track. Then came Sarah, my younger sister, fresh out of a top business school. There was an unspoken truth in my family. Sarah was the star. I was just the background. From a young age, she was adored. Every small success of hers was celebrated like a miracle, while my efforts earned little more than a nod. When she graduated with honors, my parents began their campaign. "You should let Sarah join the company," my mother said one evening. "She has a sharp business mind. She's well-trained. She'll help the company soar." My father nodded in approval. "With your tech skills and her business sense, you two would be the perfect pair." I welcomed her with an open heart. Having family by my side sounded comforting, and at first, she brought new life into the company. Bold marketing ideas, surprising results. I began to believe my parents had been right. But it didn't last long. Once she adapted to the environment, Sarah's true nature emerged. She began making major product and HR decisions without consulting me. She had an uncanny charm, a persuasive charisma that won people over. She organized team-building events I wasn't invited to, remembered every key staff member's birthday, praised them openly during meetings. All things I, reserved and task-focused, rarely did. Soon, she won the hearts of my core team, the very people who stood by me through the roughest days. I felt the distance growing inside my own company. Important discussions happened behind closed doors. I felt like an aging king slowly losing his crown to his own kin. Then came the final blow. At a family dinner, a setting meant to be warm and joyful, my father, serious and composed, cleared his throat and made an unexpected announcement. "Your mother, Sarah, and I have talked things over," he said. "You've done an excellent job building the foundation of this company, but to grow further, the company needs a visionary leader with proper training. That's why we've decided Sarah will take over as CEO." I was speechless. The fork slipped from my hand, hitting the plate with a sharp clang in the silence. My ears rang. My father's voice echoed like thunder in a storm. This was my company, built on sleepless nights, missed meals, every ounce of my being. And now, my family, the ones I trusted most, were taking it from me and handing it to their golden child. Sarah lowered her head with fake humility, but her eyes sparkled with victory. I tried to argue. I spoke of my sacrifices, the plans I had, but my words meant nothing. "You should step back and support your sister," my mother said, her tone gentle but firm. "This is for the good of the whole family." The pain, the fury, the betrayal. I couldn't breathe. At that moment, I realized arguing was pointless. Their minds were made up. The game had changed. And if I didn't act, I would lose everything. That night, I didn't sleep. The rage cooled into something sharper, cold and calculated. If they wanted my company, fine, but all they'd get was the shell. I knew this company better than anyone, and I knew exactly where its heart beat and how to move it. The plan formed swiftly. By day, I played the part, calm, present. By night, I became someone else.
I created a new legal entity under a different name.
I reached out quietly to our biggest, most loyal clients. I didn't badmouth my family. I simply presented a new vision, a future rooted in the values we'd built together. They trusted me, not the brand. One by one, they agreed. Next, I approached the talent, the programmers, the managers, the core builders. I showed them what Sarah and my parents were planning, a dynasty of control over merit. Then I showed them my path. Most didn't hesitate. Everything was done discreetly, legally. The key intellectual property, proprietary code, major contracts, all shifted silently. While Sarah and my parents planned her grand CEO ceremony, the castle they were inheriting was already hollowing out from within. And then the day came. Sarah stood before the company to announce the new era. She spoke confidently. My parents sat in front, glowing with pride. When she finished, applause echoed, hesitant, uneven. I walked up calmly, laid a letter on the table. "I'm resigning, effective today," I said. "I've also launched my new company, and most of our major clients, core staff, and the foundation that made this place succeed are coming with me." Silence. Sarah's smile shattered. My parents' faces twisted in disbelief. Then fury. They shouted, accused me of betrayal. But it was too late. The foundation had already moved. My new company, built on trust and talent, soared. I never looked back. The old one? Without its soul, it crumbled. Their betrayal backfired in the most spectacular way. Sometimes, the deepest wounds become the fuel to build something stronger. And so our story comes to a close. Not one of sweet revenge, but of reclaiming worth. It leaves us with a haunting question. Where is the line between ambition and family? Today's story reminds us, sometimes, the fire that burns you the most is lit by the very hands that once gave you warmth. But more importantly, it reminds us of the power we hold when we choose to rise, rebuild, and reclaim what's ours. You can't choose the family you're born into, but you can always choose how the next chapter of your story is written. Thank you for sitting with us at Our Table Stories. What did this story stir in you? Leave a comment below, because every story you share adds to the voices around this table. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Our Table Stories, so we can keep exploring these powerful moments together. Until next time, see you back at the table.